Hello and welcome to The Drug Trip. This channel is here to feed the curiosity of those who would like to gain an insight to the effects of various drugs and substances through user experiences and stories, with our main goal being to entertain and reduce harm and abuse. We post regular trip reports every few days, so if you do enjoy these, we would really appreciate it if you subscribed. And more importantly, we love to hear our viewers' thoughts, opinions and experiences, so please leave something for us in the comment section and we may use it in a future video. Enjoy and be safe. I was a little nervous, but very excited about trying DMT for my first time, having previously tripped on shrooms, truffles, LSD and LSA. Had mentally enjoyed all of them bar my sole experience on truffles, which was a bit miserable. I had coped with that well though. I thought. My friend Dan, who I had known for around a month, wanted to make sure I really felt the DMT, so he tipped 100 milligrams in a pipe to share between us. I didn't know at the time how huge a dose this was, but I just trusted him. That was a huge mistake. We were in his bedroom, both sitting up on his double bed with lowish lights and no music. I took the first hit and passed it back to him. He took a hit and passed it back to me. Still not feeling anything, I made my second drip a huge one and felt it straight away. My last soberish thought as I passed it back was, oh dear, the DMT is on fire. As it was still burning, that thought and passing the pipe back was already happening very slowly. Well, I took a big rip and I had to cough as I exhaled, trying to keep coughing and exhaling in steady motions because I didn't want to start hardcore coughing up a lung. My coughs felt like metallic robotic waves. I feel like the coughing and resulting tightness in my chest led me to feeling uncomfortable physically and played a rather large part in my bad experience, although of course there's no way of telling. Well, I lay back and immediately the room disappears. Everything is replaced with a very dark, grey kind of starry scene, like a fuzzy channel on a TV. It's hard to remember the order of things, but I remember saying, oh Jesus. I'm not even a Christian, I'm agnostic. But things were already getting very intense, and I guess this was my way of coping. Dan, who only felt very mild effects, says that I said, oh God, about 6 or 7 times after that. I remember that, and at this point I still remember where I am, I guess, and that Dan is there. And I was wanting to kind of help me, but not knowing him well enough to ask or knowing what he could even do, at least for the first couple of oh gods anyway. The accompanying feeling was one of intensity, to put it mildly. I was in a dark, grey, starry place, which felt kind of like space, and things were rushing past me, and just sort of happening to me all at once. My skull felt like it was being crushed by everything I was experiencing. I was still saying, oh God, at this point, I guess. I remember thinking, from what I had read, that it would all be over in an hour or so, and the thought of 20 minutes crept in relating to the bulk of the experience, but I couldn't be sure what this meant or if it was even true. 20 minutes was also too complicated to process, so I disregarded it. The thought of it being only an hour did not comfort me, because I had no idea what an hour was anymore. It didn't really exist where I was. I'm not really sure what happened next. Dan says I went quiet. I certainly wasn't aware of being in Dan's room with Dan anymore. Discussing the story with my friend Henry, he proposed I may have experienced ego death. This may be true. I can't remember most of what happened. Eventually, the starry darkness which my world was in started to fade. The last thing I saw was the image of space, or whatever, with a dark figure slightly left of the centre of my vision. I knew the man, or man type thing, wasn't good. But it wasn't bothering me or talking to me, and I was leaving it. I realised I was now sitting up and looking straight ahead to the end of the room, into the ensuite bathroom. I was also rubbing my face and sweating a lot. At this point, I could see both the bathroom and the starry scene simultaneously, I was still feeling intensely anxious, although that isn't quite the word, but close enough. Seeing the bathroom had brought me home to some extent, but I was still completely unaware of Dan's presence or anything but what I had just experienced and was still sort of experiencing. I also came to some detached realisation that the dark figure I saw had been the devil. Looking back on it though, I don't think this is entirely appropriate. The figure was bad, but it wasn't completely radiating evil. Perhaps it had been in those moments, I can't remember though. At this point, Dan got up and I watched him leave the bed to put on some music. This was like a revelation for me, that I am a person in this room. Dan is also a person who is here with me. He can move, so I can move. I can leave this place. I pretty much sobered up kind of instantly. It really brought me back to earth. The worst of the bad feeling went away hereafter, and I realised I was no longer trapped. I think my first words to Dan were something like, "That was the worst experience of my life," which was honestly close to the truth. Dan was really shocked and apologetic. He thought I was really enjoying myself. I guess, "oh God," is an ambiguous turn of phrase. I followed this up with, "I don't think I'm ever going to take acid again," which didn't pain me to say at the time because I was so completely in love with LSD at this point. I felt mentally broken after this experience. Slowly, I told Dan what had happened, although the memory of the bulk of the entire trip had completely faded already by this point. What I am describing here are just snippets that I can remember. I slowly calmed down, but I felt very detached from Dan, and I told him I felt as though I didn't really know him at all. I wasn't upset with him about the dose or anything. This was literally just how I felt at that time. When I later found out how much I had smoked, I was relieved as I had an explanation for the intensity of the experience. Around 10 to 20 minutes after the DMT, I got up and smoked the last of my weed. A pretty small amount, in a bong, to make it really hit home. It really helped. Soon I felt a lot better. The anxiety had completely dissipated. I was able to play some video games, although I was worse than usual. My awful playing was funny as hell though. I was over this experience. I still haven't tried DMT again, although I will soon as a friend has some. I will just be sure to take less and try hard not to choke. I feel the experience was very necessary to give me a hint of what +3 and +4 could be like. Up until now, I was confident I could handle an intense trip on shrooms or LSD because it was something I was actively seeking. Without my bad DMT trip, I may have ended up pushing myself very far with one of these other drugs when I wouldn't have been prepared. Things could have ended up very bad. And not for 2 minutes, but for eternities. Maybe I am still not fully prepared now, but I feel I have a better understanding of what to expect. And in closing, measure your doses carefully and read up on what to expect for each level of dose. Peace.